is Alex Howard, O'Reilly Media's Government 2.0 correspondent here in D.C. I'm here today to talk to Grant McGlaughlin, principal at Booz Allen Hamilton, who's been working with government clients here in the D.C. area for some years. As you know, the federal government issued an open government directive last December. As a result, different federal agencies have been working on open government plans, which they released in April. How have you seen the response, and how are you seeing them moving forward with implementing the plans?
The federal government is making good strides on the Openness in Government initiative, but it is slow. There are ample new activities that they've taken on in recent years, or recent months, but there are lots and lots of new opportunities and lots of different things that they need to do differently within the culture to be able to accept this new openness initiative.
So there are three elements to the Open Government Directive and the initiative, the memo released before that. Transparency is one that's received a great deal of attention and to some extent has been met by different agencies by posting high-value data sets to data.gov or other kinds of information about where and how their officers are moving, what they're working on. The other two aspects, however, participation and collaboration, are just now starting to receive a bit more attention. What tools are agencies using to actually try to move forward with achieving those parts of the Open Government Directive, and how effective are they being in actually engaging the American people using them?
I would say that the tool set that they're using is what we're using in everyday life. I mean, there are Facebook sites and Twitter sites and various different platforms that they're providing. So at times the government is engaging on those more commercialized sites, and then other times they're actually bringing them in-house and letting people have a dialogue on their site, so on both ends. The public participation spectrum is wide, and the decide, announce, defend mode of public engagement is still operating on some level. There are some across the continuum where the dialogue is open. You bring a good idea, let's have a dialogue around it, let's see what we can do funding. Most of those things are happening in more of the state and local government initiatives. There are things that have gone further, the traditional public outreach type initiatives, whether around transportation routes or Superfund sites. Those dialogues have been greatly enhanced by the use of new technology.
What are some of the tools that are actually working well for government to drive engagement, to actually allow people to participate and get beyond simply responding to a given piece of policy? What's working?
I would say it's the strategy of engagement, right? It is technology enabled, so it is a subcomponent of it, but the strategy itself of truly thinking about the control, thinking about who do I want to engage, how do I want to engage them, that is a very different set of dialogue that's gone on.
So it sounds like it's not just a matter of the tools, that many of them are there, at least in earlier form, and certainly in ways they didn't used to be, say, 5 years ago. Twitter didn't exist, Facebook was still in colleges, YouTube was still growing, and certainly things like idea scale just weren't in use yet. But the long-standing cultural issues around citizen engagement, participation, collaboration, that's been something that's been a challenge for different levels of government for centuries, right? So how are the new media tools out there melding or meshing with the existing culture of government?
So the dialogue has always gone on, right? And it just depends on, are you part of the dialogue? And that's one of the routine things I tell government clients often, is that the conversation's happening. Are you a part of it? And how are you influencing it? Are you able to engage in that dialogue in a meaningful way? The culture change is slow, and as new employees come into the government, there's an expectation that these tools exist, this type of collaboration, this type of performance is available to them. So the culture change is happening, but it's slow.
So this brings up one of these issues that I think you can see as a challenge in a lot of the IT departments around government, that this new generation just a couple years younger than me. I'm generation X/Y. I was right in the cusp of this change, and I saw it during school. That is always on, that has usually their smartphones wherever they are, that expect to be able to find someone instant messenger or using social networking just in the same way that someone else might if they pick up the phone. And they're driving change from the bottom up. How are you seeing government IT agencies, and when you work with them as a contractor, how are you enabling those kinds of tools to be used by government officials, not just by citizens trying to talk to them?
I would say that the biggest concern that folks have is what's being shared and how it's being shared. So the security concerns and the privacy concerns. As we start to go into things like electronic health records, there's a great concern around those. And getting the IT departments to bring things that are in a secure environment to be able to enable those dialogues is absolutely one of the paramount things that they're working on.
Security and privacy are huge for health information technology. And they certainly are significant now for the Department of Defense that they've rolled out this new social media policy. When you talk to government employees about this, again, it goes back to a people issue, a cultural issue, not necessarily technical tools one. But are there any kinds of implementations that you've worked on that make it easier to address those security and privacy issues?
No.
No.
Not me.
Not you.
Personally.
Okay. I know you've focused on the collaboration, participation
Correct.
side more. And let's put it a different direction. What are the tips that you'd give to someone who's just trying to figure out what the next step is in terms of moving beyond just broadcasting online, which is the traditional media method for a long time? Now we're in a different, more reciprocal relationship with people.
Right. A couple of things. One is focusing on the leadership, what the leadership perspective is of the engagement. The worst thing you can do is set expectations and not be able to meet them. So understanding what the leadership perspective of your organization is and what their sense of collaboration is with stakeholders. Getting a pulse of who the stakeholders are. If you're on Facebook and your stakeholders aren't, what's the point? Being able to figure out what that platform is, what the venue is, where your stakeholders are, and then meeting them where they need to be. And third is, it can't be a standalone. It has to be part of a larger strategy. So taking the time to understand what the people aspects are, what the process aspects are, what the technology needs are, and then mapping that to the stakeholder strategy for your level of engagement.
Okay. Well, Grant, thank you for taking the time out of your morning to talk to me. I look forward to seeing you at the upcoming Government 2.0 Expo here in D.C. at the end of the month.
Thank you much.
That's Alex Howard reporting for O'Reilly Media.